So we're here.
So we're in Norfolk instead.
Okay. Why not?
Hey,
Where about you based, Catherine?
today.
I'm based in Ilford.
Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, you're still local to us then.
I'm local,
just
yeah.
Trying to
Round
work
the
out
corner
how
from
many...
Rosemary.
Sorry?
Round the corner from Rosemary.
All right, okay. Hello, Rosemary. How are you?
Yeah.
Catherine and Diane were both trustees of a charity a few years ago.
Right. Sorry, I'm just letting people into the meeting.
All right.
Some more coming in, which is good.
Nice to know.
How many of our people came yesterday, Phil?
On the Euroko thing,
Loco.
I don't know, because well, that wasn't one of our sessions. That was
No.
an Euroko run one.
I'll ask.
So I know there was about 12 people online at one time because I was on, wasn't I? You were both on.
Well, I saw you go and say goodbye. That's why I said, oh, David, Phil's on, so he might know who else was on.
Do you think I upset them?
Yeah, I think you probably did. Try and be a bit more polite this time, will you, David?
No.
Like a dirge. It was awful. Awful. You need something jolly.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't going to tell him that. I certainly wasn't going to tell him it's a waste of time. No, that's not.
Well, I mean, I just felt it was. And, I'm going to speak it like I see it. We wasted that thing where we were doing something a bit more funny or enjoyable.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
What did you think of Devon? Was it more hippie mumbo jumbo?
Yeah, but it's good. You know, it's not all.
I think he was.
I don't have to agree with everything. It's just all that relaxation, meditation stuff is a bit. I find that a bit difficult to get into, but that's just me, you know. So, yeah, everybody else seemed to enjoy it, so that's great. I've recorded that, and there were a couple of people who couldn't get to the meeting who wanted to see the recording, so I've videoed that and put it up on the website and sent the link out to people.
Okay.
And I had a couple of thank you messages come back from that. So I don't know if they've seen it yet. I'll check on that later.
We had a communal groan, didn't we?
I was on a Teams meeting yesterday with Versus Arthritis, and what they say is, we are recording this. Make sure you know we are recording it. If you do not wish to be on, or if you want to switch your camera off now, you can. And that's how we get over the DBS thing and not, you know, all this government rules and regulations about people's privacy. So as long as you tell people you're recording.
Yeah, I've mentioned that at the start of each of the sessions, and I'll do that again now. So just so everybody knows that we are recording this, and it will be put up on the it'll be up on the website later on once I've got it edited and uploaded. It takes ages to upload these videos for some reason onto YouTube, but do anything about that. So.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
You given your telephone number out yet?
No.
Karen's got a new iPhone.
Oh, no, we've already got it transferred, haven't we, the phone? The phone's already transferred, isn't it, Karen? To that answer people.
Yeah, and it comes through on an email.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to get the calls, no.
No, why not? She can be phoned at 3 o'clock.
No, because they filter them.
Right. No, just staring it.
Typical. We'll be there. We're coming down on Saturday because we have blood appointments for David. Going back next week.
Are you going to be in the coffee morning thing on Saturday morning or not?
Oh no.
Well, maybe not.
We might have to miss it because
we're travelling down.
Okay. It's just there's only me and Karen in it for most of last week, and I've got to Well, I've got to do something later on Saturday, but
Unless
later.
unless we leave at 12, we could be here for it. Yes, 12:30, 11:30 to 12:30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could be in it, Phil, if you want to run it. Otherwise, we just tell people it's not running this week.
Oh no, let's keep running it. Now that we've invited everybody and set up all the meetings and everything, don't want to
Okay.
go through all that and then just not do it. So
We were
yeah,
planning
okay, so let's do that Saturday then.
at lunchtime anyway. Yeah, we were planning to travel after lunch, so we'll just make it 12:30 to 1 instead of earlier. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
David,
All right, shall I hand over to Andy then?
Yeah.
So, you right, Andy?
Yep, I'm fine. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
See you.
Rightio. Well, hello everybody. I know some of you quite well, other people less so, but my name's Andy, and like you, I've got rheumatoid arthritis. So what I'm going to talk about today really is my journey through rheumatoid arthritis and where I started, where I am now. But I'm also very conscious of the fact that we've all had individual journeys. So my symptoms and what affects me might not affect you. Some people have more severe symptoms. So what I've done is just my own personal journey through it. But I do recognize that everybody has a different journey. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the importance of mental health and also the importance, if you can, of exercise. These are things that I've done and attempted to alleviate some of my symptoms and to make my life more bearable. So if I start back at the beginning, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in 2008, October 2008, by your good friend and mine, Dr. De Brera, in Ilford. And it was a bit of a shock, really. I was age 45. Apparently, rheumatoid arthritis, only 1 in 5 people who have it are men. It's 4 out of 5 people with rheumatoid arthritis are actually women. So it's a bit more rare for a man to get it. And anyway, I got it at 45. The symptoms were a bit strange. I'd suddenly started getting up and I would describe it as walking on hot coals. So I'd get out of bed in the morning and my feet would be really sort of burning and hot. And also I had sort of a severe pain in my shoulder where I couldn't sleep. If literally if I moved my shoulder just a centimeter, I had this sort of shooting pain. So I couldn't sort of settle at all. So I ended up having some blood tests, and then in the end I got diagnosed in October 2008, started on methotrexate. And luckily for me, my drug journey has largely just been methotrexate. I did, after a while, have, I've forgotten the name, is it hydrochloroquine, the one that President Trump was advocating? I was briefly on that as well. But then through things that I did, I managed to just go back to having methotrexate. So I started on 10 milligrams, and that was where I was at the beginning. Prior to that, I'd been very sporty. So in my younger life, I'd played rugby to a high level. I'd been at the stage of in the final trial for Wales youth rugby when I was sort of 15, 16. And at the age of 45, I was still playing five-a-side football every week and doing a little bit of badminton. So I was still fairly active, if a bit hedonistic. I must admit my lifestyle was a bit of, I was always been a bit of a life and soul of the party. So in truth, I was drinking too much. And I suppose my lifestyle was out of kilter. Anyway, with having rheumatoid arthritis, I had to reassess myself then in terms of my lifestyle. But my initial reaction, probably like all of you here, was really, why me? No, why is it me? Why have I got it? What have I done to deserve this sort of thing? So you have a feeling, and I don't know if you agree or we can talk about it later, a feeling of sort of a bit of a self-pity and why me? I don't deserve this. And I went into a sort of depressive state. Now my main career has been teaching. So I was a primary school teacher for 30 years. And what I found was, having had the diagnosis and with the symptoms that I was having, I was finding it increasingly difficult to teach. As in Sod's Law, I had a particularly difficult, challenging class of children. As you'd imagine, these things they all come at once. And I was finding it harder and harder because I hadn't really mentally adjusted or come to terms with the fact that I got rheumatoid arthritis. I was feeling angry. I couldn't do things that I ordinarily would do. So for example, because PE was a sort of specialist subject and I was in charge of that, things that I could have demonstrated before I had arthritis, now I couldn't. So I couldn't kick a ball. I couldn't run. I can't run now. There's lots of other physical things I can do, but I can't really run as I did before. So all of those things sort of weighed on my mind. So I got into a state of depression. And then I did a brave thing. Sometimes in my life, I've had other depressive periods prior to having arthritis, and I've tended to grit my teeth and get through it through talking to friends and knuckling down and trying to, in a way, beat it on my own. But on this occasion, it became sort of too much, and I took the decision to take 3 or 4 months off work. Now, I like to refer to that period as a breakthrough, not a breakdown, because in that time I had time to reassess my life, look at what I could do, start to look and think, to accept that I had rheumatoid arthritis first of all, because that's the thing, you have to accept that you've got it, learn to live with it, and then maybe look outwards a bit and think, well, what can I do to improve the situation? What can I do? What can I personally do? How can I empower myself to make my life easier or better? What can I do rather than what a doctor can do or what anybody else can advise me to do? So one of the things I did, strangely, is I'm a writer anyway, so I've written and had poetry published since I was a sort of a youngster. And I've often found at times in my life when I've been under strain, creativity, writing in particular for me, has let me express my feelings. Okay, so for me, my mum died a few years ago. I ended up writing a lot to get my explore my emotions, express my feelings through poetry. Sometimes for men, it's often hard to express their feelings verbally. We tend to bottle things up. We tend to think, well, it's not manly to express some emotional need. So, which is all wrong. But one way that I've coped in different stressful times in my life is through writing. So if I can, I'm going to try and share my screen. I'm going to read you a poem that I wrote that is, let's see, can you see that? Yeah. I'm going to read you a poetry. This is a revenge poem against rheumatoid arthritis, because obviously you feel anger, and this is my idea of getting revenge against the disease. So this is called Rheumatoid. So, moving like a milk float in the night, feasting on ankles and torturing wrists, you have encased my feet in concrete. Feet that once dropped a goal from 40 meters to clinch a game and render teammates speechless on a blue sky autumn day. But you can never win. You cannot immobilize my ideas or suffocate my spirit. I am unbreakable. I picture you lying in the frozen winter fields, slowly losing consciousness. So there you go. In that poem, I've managed to slay the dreaded rheumatoid arthritis. So, yeah, writing was quite a big thing for me to express my feelings. Then, strangely, also, then you get in a period where you're changing from being reactive to being proactive. So I did that a bit through writing, and you're trying to get from a fixed mindset where you're thinking, my world has ended. I've got rheumatoid arthritis. This is it. to a more of a growth mindset where you think, okay, certain avenues have closed down for me, but what can I put in its place? Or what can I do to make a real difference to myself? Okay. So in that time that I had off before I returned to teaching, I did a lot of mental juggling and coming to terms with having the disease, accepting it, and then thinking, well, how can I make things, how can I improve my mindset and my mental health? So strangely, a weird thing happened then. I had to go, if you go to King George, that the way that the appointments work is you might see the consultant one time, and then a few months later, it would be a nurse. So I had to go and see a nurse, and it wasn't the normal nurse that was there, it was a different one. And I said to her during my sort of consultation, should I still try and do some exercise? And she said to me, I always remember it, you can do if you want, but only the drugs will work. Now, she wasn't trying to be mean or rude, I don't think. Maybe she was trying to be realistic. But for me, that lit a sort of torch paper under me, thinking, hold on. It made me actually angry inside, thinking, maybe there's a way, maybe there's other ways that I can try and improve my condition. I don't want to be just dependent on a drug, because as we know, with rheumatoid arthritis, there's no drug as of yet that can there's no cure. So basically, the drugs they give us are fairly brutal in their side effects, and also the problem with them is that they mask the symptoms or stop the symptoms showing, but they don't actually cure anything. So in other words, it's like putting a pillow on top of an alarm clock, the medication that we're having. Okay. So I went away and I started to do some research then. I thought, well, is there anybody in the world who's got arthritis who's sort of improved their physical capabilities and improved their flexibility? How have they done it? So I tracked down a chap in Australia called Clint Patterson, and he's got a program called the Patterson program. So I went online. He is a guy who had quite severe rheumatoid arthritis, very swollen knees, and an elbow. He's had to have an elbow replacement elbow at some point. A young guy, younger than me, but he made his symptoms disappear, virtually completely disappear through a hardcore vegan diet and an exercise program. So I had to look at this chap and I thought, you have one of those moments where you think, is he a crank? Is this man, because to go on to be part of the program, you had to part with some money. So I'm thinking to myself, if I invest in this guy a few quid or whatever, is it fraudulent? But I read around him a bit, didn't appear to be. So I joined the program. So then at this stage, then I started a vegan diet. So vegan diet with no sugars, no coffee, no alcohol, and combining that diet, which started off with the first weekend of the program consists of a cucumber and celery juice. That's all you could eat for the weekend. Horrendous. And then as you go through it, you build up more vegetables into your diet. So you start with things like sweet potato, which are very good for you. Then you build up more and more things, more fruit and more vegetables as you go along. Now, one of the problems is that you do lose weight rapidly, which is a good thing, because what we must remember about rheumatoid arthritis is often, my symptoms are in my ankles, my feet, and my wrists are the main areas for me. And when you walk, 8 times your body weight stress is on your feet. So in other words, the less weight that you're carrying, the less pressure on your feet. So it does make sense. But I went down from, at one point, and this was probably from prior in my hedonistic days when my diet was probably Guinness and whiskey. So my weight dropped from 90 kilograms to 65 over a period of a few months. Now I'm back up to, but that's when I was religiously keeping to the diet and not having any sort of anything edgy on the edge of the program. Now I'm up to about 75, so I've gone up a little bit, but not a great deal, because I mean, when I did go to 65, I looked gaunt. And when I went back to Wales and I saw friends who I see sporadically, they all thought I was a death's door, because I mean, I literally was like a playing card. So that was a bit disconcerting. But I did notice that my joints felt better. I felt better in myself. But combined with that, so part of Clint's program is 60% diet, 40% exercise. So he's an advocate of Bikram yoga, which is yoga in a hot room, 40 degrees. So I started doing that. First of all, when I went, I thought the hardest thing in life sometimes is taking the first step. So the idea of going to this yoga where there were going to be a room of 40 degrees and people younger than me who could sort of bend themselves in half. And I thought, well, I can't balance on one because my balance has been affected. So I can't balance on one leg, or I can't do this. You tend to get the idea everybody's going to be in that room is going to be watching you. Everybody in that room is going to be judging you. The truth of it is nobody's really bothered. Everybody's on their own journey, like we are with rheumatoid arthritis. So the hardest thing was doing that first lesson and not worrying about what I thought other people might think. And like I've said, nobody really had any interest in me. You know, I was just another person in the room. So I did that. So that's an hour and a half where you are in 40 degrees going through loads of exercise. And I thrived and I love that. Now I do understand that I'm lucky in the sense that with my symptoms, I was able to go and do that. Some people wouldn't, with rheumatoid arthritis, obviously wouldn't be able to cope with the severity of that. And in fact, some of the lessons, one or two people I've seen faint in there, particularly people who, new people, what they tend to do is if they feel sick, they stand up to try and run out of the room and faint. So a couple of times there's been a few people dropping like flies in there. So I was doing that. Unfortunately, due to lockdown, well, with all this, I haven't done any Bikram yoga because I don't think it's a good idea to be in a room with 30 people sweating away. So I've not done that for 6 months. Although what I have done is keep up. I've learned the whole routine. So I've been doing that in my house and actually doing it with my mother-in-law via Zoom in South Africa. So I've been doing yoga with her 3 times a week, which has been good. So I did the yoga, and then the other thing is exercise. So as I said, I can't run at all. So what I was looking for, and what people with rheumatoid arthritis need to look for if they can, is exercise that is non-weight bearing. So the 2 classic non-weight bearing ones are swimming and cycling. Now it's funny because I'm good at a range of sports, but the one thing that I'm terrible at is swimming, primarily because growing up in Wales, and this will make you laugh, hopefully. Growing up in Wales, we learned to swim in school in an outdoor pool in October. The teacher used to have a sheepskin jacket on, and basically we would get into part the icebergs, get in the water and thrash our arms a bit, and if we got to the other side alive, we were sort of deemed to be a swimmer. So that nobody ever taught us any techniques of breathing or how to turn one way and turn your head. It was just literally thrashing around to get to the other side. And it's always a bone of contention because my wife is South African, and she's a fantastic swimmer, swam for her province in South Africa, and I could hardly swim across the length of a bath. So swimming was out, but cycling, I had cycled as a child, so I started cycling, and I bought a cheap bike to begin with, and I really, really loved it. And the thing I love about cycling is that it's non-weight bearing. You're out in the open air. You can go where you like. It gives you thinking time, and you're not stressing your joints. So it's not like running where you your ankles would hurt. Nothing particularly hurts. And so I started building up the distance and things. And then I thought, right, well, maybe what I'll do is I'll challenge myself, and I'll see if I can raise some money for an arthritis charity. So I got in touch with, this is prior to knowing Diane and ASNet, got in touch with NRAS, the National Rheumatoid Society, and broached the idea with them. So I then went to South Africa and I did a 3-day cycle with about 15 other people that I knew to raise money for the charity. I ended up raising about £1,000, and it was over a 3,000 meter mountain pass, the Swartberg Pass, and it was a 3-day cycle. So we stayed in overnight in places. Over the Swartberg Pass and the Swartberg Mountains, ending up at the sea. So 3 days later, and I think I've got, if I can, let me see if I can share the screen again, hold on. I've got a picture there. That's the mountain pass. So that's the Swartberg Pass. So I came from right at the bottom, so I followed that path right the way up. And there's lots of sort of bends, switchback bends right up to the top. So that's that. Okay, hold on, let me just get the screen back on. How do I get back to the main screen? Let's see. Oh, here we go.
Share screen, take off share screen.
Oh, that's it, yeah. Back again. Yeah, so I cycled up there, which was daunting, as you can imagine. I had a sleepless night the day before thinking, could I do it? So I did that and raised money. And then they wrote an article about me in NRAS Producer Magazine Quarterly. So I wrote an article actually for them and put that in with some pictures. So that was good. And then as I carried on cycling, I mean, one of the main reasons, my father-in-law, who's 79, he's South African, he cycles every day. So he was very much instrumental in mentoring me really and helping me. So I'd done a lot of cycling with him. And then there's another race then that I went in. I thought, well, that was good. So then I didn't raise any money for charity for this one. But also then I entered, this is in the summer of March of 2018. I entered a race in South Africa called the Cape Argus Cycle Tour, which is 105 kilometers, a race. So there's me in my Welsh top, and that's one of my youngest son behind me there, Ethan. He came with me for that time. So it was 105 kilometers. 36,000 cyclists in the race. It's the biggest time cycling race in the world. And I did that in 4 hours, 30 minutes for 65 miles it was. So that was great. If a bit hot, as you can see, March is very warm there. So yeah, so I've done lots and lots of cycling. And in fact, in lockdown, if we come back to mental health, in lockdown, cycling, or in the main lockdown that we had, cycling was just a godsend for me. So because to be honest, since February or since March the 23rd, when lockdown started, I've only been out of Waltham Forest. Well, I've been out of Waltham Forest cycling, but I've only been out of Waltham Forest twice to some friends in Surrey Hills. Apart from that, I've been confined to Waltham Forest, but I've been, particularly in the summer and spring months, I was cycling 120, 130 miles a week, sometimes doing 40 miles at a time. So I'd set off from Walthamstow down to Stratford, down the canals, round to Ilford, Forest Gate, Wanstead, up to Woodford, Buckhurst Hill. I spent a lot of time in cycling through Epping Forest, which is on my doorstep. So I can't advocate exercise more for your mental health. Obviously, it releases endorphins. Also, cycling in the forest was just magnificent in the spring, still is now. Touching base with nature, I think, is another thing which can help our mental health, is if we get out of the streets in a way, into nature, into forests, if we can. So yeah, so I've been doing lots of cycling, continuing to do that, doing the yoga at home. So I think drawing to a conclusion, really, we need to always remember mental health with rheumatoid arthritis, because sometimes our symptoms, you know, I might walk down the road, it might be slow, and somebody they might not know you've got rheumatoid arthritis. Or if you tell them, people often give you a quizzical look. It's not like you're saying you've got something that is, you know, you've had a heart attack or you've had a stroke. It's often misunderstood. People give you a very wary look. When you say you've got rheumatoid arthritis, they sort of look you up and down, think, well, you look okay, you seem to be okay. They've got no idea what you're actually going through physically and mentally. So I think it's very important that we educate people, but also that if we are worried and we are feeling down, that we do talk to people, talk to friends, talk to family, belong to charities like ASNet, and communicate with other people, because sometimes we often can bottle those feelings up. So where I am now, I took ill health retirement from teaching, and that was about 18 months ago. So in the period since then, I've written a novel. There it is, Never Full and Never Empty. I got that published, available on Amazon, with some poetry in. So I wrote a book, and I've trained as a life coach. So now I've set up business where I'm trying to set up an online forum where I talk to people with rheumatoid arthritis, with the idea of it being a self-help group where people share positive strategies and how they've coped. So that's one thing I'm setting up. But also, so I did train as a life coach, and I've been set that up as a business now. So it's in its infancy. Not really got many clients yet. I've had a few, but that's where I am at the moment. So yeah, I can't stress the importance of, if you can get some exercise, depending on the nature of your illness. If you can, the more you do, the better, because keeping moving, we know with rheumatoid arthritis, if you can keep moving, you're also building up the muscles around the joints. So if you can exercise and build up muscles and tendons, make them strong around the joint, it can hopefully help with some pain management. Okay. What else was? Oh yeah, and in a way, try not to live the label. I think that's quite important. Okay, we have got rheumatoid arthritis. We'd rather we didn't have it. We have to accept it, but also it doesn't have to define us completely. And what I found is, weirdly, and this is going to sound strange, I'm actually a better person now than I was before I had it. That's a strange thing to say. I'd rather not have had rheumatoid arthritis, I must admit, but I'm actually probably a nicer person. I'm probably a better person. And since being diagnosed, and also as some doors close, other doors will open. Now, they don't open automatically. And that's the key. And that's the difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. The idea is you've got to find where those doors are, and you've got to want to open those doors, and then go and explore different things that you can do in your life. Okay. Thank you. And if anybody's got any questions or anything they'd like to ask or discuss, I'm happy to answer.
Would you be willing to do yoga classes for us?
Yeah, I mean, I could possibly do some yoga classes. Lots of the yoga that I do is obviously harder, but I suppose I could simplify some things down. Yeah, I'm sure I could look into that. Yeah.
Okay. Because our yoga teacher we can't get in touch with, the Russian girl, she had Ehlers-Danlos, which is a type of arthritis, and we wanted her to do it, but she sort of disappeared. I think she's gone back to St. Petersburg to see her grandma.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd certainly be able to. I'd have to research a little bit because, as I say, the yoga that I do is quite sort of strenuous, but I know there's lots of yoga that you can do. In fact, I think there's someone in Brighton I was going to get in touch with who specializes in yoga for people with rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
So maybe I can see what I can have a look at
Can
that.
we leave
because,
it with you and we'll be in touch.
yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Good.
Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
while we're talking about yoga, Andy, I've done some Pilates a while ago for my lower back injury. Is that
Yes.
similar to the one you do, or is that a completely different?
Yeah, Pilates is fairly similar to Bikram yoga. But I mean, there are some poses in Bikram yoga. There's one called the triangle pose where every joint is moving and every muscle is in the Bikram program. Every muscle in your body is used over an hour and a half. It sort of works your way right way through the body. But it's similar in many ways to Pilates. Yeah.
I don't think I could manage an hour and a half, to be honest.
No. Anything, just 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day. Anything would to increase flexibility. Yeah.
He's a trained teacher. What was your question?
yeah, Andy,
Yes.
you mentioned the word endorphin
Yeah.
when you were talking about the brain. Do you want to tell people what it is? I know what it is. I'm not sure everybody does.
Do you know what? I might have to defer to you. All I know is that it's very good for you.
Right.
So perhaps it's an opportunity for you to explain to us.
A chemical that are given out by the brain that give you the euphoric feeling. They're like a psychedelic drug, basically. What happens is people who run marathons, and that will tell you after they get to about 16, 18 miles, they hit the pain barrier. And after that, it goes away and they start to feel stimulated. And that feeling is the increase of the endorphins flowing in the brain.
Yeah.
And this is what happens as well in the different types of exercise when you get to a point where your brain takes over and gives you that pleasure feeling.
Yeah. It feels. Yeah. It just you're right. It really increases your feeling of well-being, and you do feel that elated, which ties in with what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing about cycling and is that worries me is falling off, and I've fallen off about 3 times in the last 6 or 7 months, and I've sort of had some cuts and bruises, but luckily not broken anything. And I'm always concerned because my arthritis is in my wrists. I'm always concerned that I'm going to fall and sort of have to put my hand out to break the fall and break a wrist and then make my symptoms a lot worse. So I tend to try and be as careful as I can, but unfortunately it's one of those things where you can't ever eliminate the possibility of a small fall. I mean, I had fell off about 2 weeks ago and cut my knee quite badly, but I'm up and running again now.
What about the very modern racing three-wheelers?
Yeah, they would be good for people with who maybe not.
No, I'm thinking for you, for balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, but I'm generally fine. A couple of times when I have fallen over, I've just been trying to go too quick, or I'm going around some people on a footpath and not seeing something. So, but actually what's amazing is how easy it is and how much you can actually hurt yourself doing very little speed. But going back to running, I told you that earlier that I couldn't run, but a strange thing happened as I say, I got diagnosed in 2008, and then a few years later, I was walking back from school where I was working, and 3 youths tried to mug me. So they started following me, and then as I turned around, I was in the sort of a triangle of the 3 of them, and one of them put their hand in my back pocket to see if I had a phone or a watch in there. But as my dad always told me, always carry your wallet in your front pocket. I'm glad of my dad then. But people normally have fight, flight, or freeze. Those are the 3 reactions. So mine was flight, and I ran. So this is when I had arthritis. I literally ran for 3 miles at full speed as I could run prior to having arthritis. So and until about 3 miles away, and then I suddenly thought to myself, hold on, you've got rheumatoid arthritis, and I collapsed in a heap. So it just shows how something within your brain, when you're in a situation of your life is supposedly threatened, that something overrides adrenaline or something overrides it, and something kicks in.
It is, yeah. That is what happens.
Okay, any other questions? Anybody got any questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to chat to you.
Thank you, Andy.
I've enjoyed
Thank
it.
you for sharing your experience, Andy. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks for coming and listening.
very entertaining.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll look into the yoga for you.
And can we put your poem on our website?
Yeah.
Do we have to, have you got sort of, I don't know, copyrights or something?
No, you can. I didn't publish that one, so you can put that one on.
Okay, all right. So Phil will do that for us, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll send him an email with it.
If you could email us the poem, I'll put it up on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm recording, as I said, I'm recording this session, so I'll put a link up on the website for people who couldn't make it.
No problem.
And
I can email you that.
on that. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks, Andy.
You do. Oh, Phil.
Phil usually does the adverts now, Phil.
Yeah, well, upcoming events. Yeah, we got our coffee morning on Saturday at 11:30. If you can come in for that, I've sent out invites. I think everybody here has got invites. I think. If not, let us know, and we'll send out a link to you. And after that, we got the next in our pain management workshops. That'll be on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, which is with Bevan from Therapy for Healing. That's very interesting. Covers a wide variety of things, doesn't he? So yeah, can I just ask Rosemary, did you have a problem earlier on, Rosemary? Looked like you got
Yes,
kicked
my
out of the
internet
meeting
connection
there.
went.
Oh, okay. So just checking it wasn't anything from our end.
Yeah, I think it was this end.
Okay.
I just rejoined the meeting.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, it's just I'm just checking that it's not a problem at our end, but yeah, I've had
Problem for me though, because I'm supposed to be tutoring tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I hope it's sorted out by then. Yeah, well, I had some issues in Ilford this morning with the internet. It just dropped out. So
no, I've had to the whole way through lockdown. It's been a nightmare. It's been a pain.
Okay.
But we're starting to deliver the expert patient program tomorrow online.
Surely, put me on the work website.
Yeah.
Amazing how we've all become au fait with Zoom now, isn't it? We didn't even know it existed prior to March, did we?
Mm.
But,
But 6 months ago, no one had a clue, did they?
No.
We're all using it.
If you do an A to Z of Zoom, at least you've got something for Z.
yeah.
No, an A to Z of COVID, we've got something for Z.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Phil,
think,
when will it be on the website?
Say that again, David.
When will this be on the website?
Well, I have to, like I said, I'm recording now, so I need to edit it, upload it onto YouTube, create a link on the website, and then add it. So about a day.
Yeah.
I was thinking for Rosemary, if she wanted to see the bit she missed.
And the bits you missed when you went
Yeah.
to the toilet.
I got the gist of it. It wasn't too long.
Oh, you're only out for a couple of minutes, weren't you? You got
Yeah.
back in quite quickly. I thought that's good. I was just checking that it wasn't an issue from our end, but
No, it was
turns
this.
out it was your end. Yeah, so that's okay.
And my apologies for yesterday, because I got myself muddled. I set myself a reminder for today's meeting, except I set it for yesterday. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
tried
I
to
saw
join,
that, yeah.
then I didn't have a link, and
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you got in the end. That's
it was
the main
me
thing.
being muddled. And I don't know if I've requested for Saturday. Do I need to email, or can you send me one for Saturday?
We have your email address, so if you don't have one for Saturday, I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
yeah, no problem. Anybody else need a link? No, everybody's got one. Okay.
I'm just finding remembering online meetings, it's different to other diary things, and it's I'll have a meeting booked, then I think, well, where did I have the link to it? So it's just a new thing to get on top of.
Well, we're all getting used to do new things, aren't we? So calendar maintenance, I'm afraid, is one of the necessary evils we've all got to do, isn't it?
No, but I'm okay with calendar maintenance. What I'm having to do is add a note to the calendar as to what date of email where the link is for the meeting.
Okay. Is there there might be something, I don't know, it depends which calendar you use. With the invites that I send out, there's a link that should sync into your Google or whatever calendar, Outlook calendar or whatever. If you use it, I'm a bit wary of those.
I've got whatever's on my iPhone, but
okay. I don't know about that.
Yeah. No, it's just everybody needs to work out their own system, don't they? It's just...
Yeah, I'm just trying to make things easier, but no, I'm afraid you'll have to do that yourself. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Hope to see you. Thanks for the talk, Andy. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chat that. I'll send a link to you, Rosemary.
Lovely.
Hope to see
Thank you for
everybody
setting
on
us up for
Saturday.
the...
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining in.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, Diane, I need to speak to you later. Is that okay?
Sorry,
I need to speak to you later on. Can I give you a call later?
this will ring a bit later. Yes, lovely.
Okay. Probably this evening, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Phil.
Thanks
Okay.
a lot. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Want to turn yours off?
That's the screen at the top.